Yeah, I'm just
Doesn't
gonna
make any change.
basically replace.
And then you get to the end, you're just gonna improvise, right?
Yeah. I mean, I start skipping kind of the boring things.
Well, that's what I was, yeah.
Thank you, singers, instrumentalists. What a beautiful way to begin our time together. Welcome to First Unitarian Universalist Church of Rochester. We're a church that believes inspiration comes from many teachers and many traditions, and that multiple spiritual paths lead us in the ways of justice and love. Your faith, your doubts, your questions, your identities are welcome here. Families are always welcome in the sanctuary. There's also a preschool playroom open anytime and activities for children following the story. You can join us after service for refreshments and conversation down in the Commons, or you can also visit the social justice table to find ways to support various local work, including a critical need to support driver's licenses for all, recent local political work. You can find out more at the table today about that as well. Throughout the month, our offering plate goes out to support Hawthorne Helps, a Hawthorne Education Center service offering essential items to folks with limited means. There will also be a table downstairs in the Commons where you can make some art of love to send to Hawthorne Education Center as well. So you can visit that table after service. You can give us a plates pass or any time online throughout the month for this uniquely UU community project. Thank you for your generosity. Wednesday evenings, you can join us for supper at 5:30, followed by choir, youth group, and a forum with childcare from 6:15 to 7. This week's forum is What Comes Next for Our Building, conversation with the board about our church, following our church's vote to find a new location, and about the sequence and the type of work that's to come coming ahead. So you can join us for supper. That's this Wednesday at 5:30, the forum at 6:15. All are welcome. So I invite you to take a breath as we enter our worship this morning together with these words from the Reverend Eliza Tupper Wilkes, our minister in the 1870s. May our faith in humanity and our message of hope and good cheer light our way. It's good to be together. In just a moment, the music will call us back for our opening hymn, but I invite you now to rise in body or spirit and greet those around you and greet those online as well.
Today's words come from the children at the UU Church of Raleigh, North Carolina. As we kindle this flame, may our hearts be open to everything inside us, between us, and all around us that helps us live and love more fully. Have you ever had to care for someone you love or something you love, like a pet or a stuffy that got ripped? Somebody who maybe isn't feeling well. Or have you stressed or worried about the things that are happening in the world? Too many things to even control by yourself? These things can be so very, very draining and can hinder your ability to do anything, really. Today's story reminds us that each of us is important, and we are all worth caring for, because we are all at our most helpful when we are cared for as well. There's Only One You by Catherine Healing and Deborah Hembrook, illustrated by Rosie Butcher. In all the world over, this much is true, you're somebody special, and there's only one you. Introvert or extrovert, it may change every day. Sometimes it's hard, this whole finding your way. You might be outgoing or barely say peep, but whatever, it's awesome being unique. Do your feelings spill out, or do they lay low and hide? You might cry when you're sad or keep the tears inside. Do you smile just a bit or laugh loud with a shriek? You're different. It's amazing being unique. In the sky, there are stars that shine in the night. You may need some quiet to let in the light. And then when you're ready, you will hop to your feet. It is truly splendiferous being unique. Your mind may be busy and full of ideas, or maybe it's quiet and full of the feels. Your thoughts might be curvy or straight and sleek. It's crazy and wonderful being unique. When there's something to say, do you talk with your hands, or do you speak without words to share time with your friends? Some voices are booming, and some just a squeak. Your way is the best way of being unique. Can you sing? Can you dance? Sports and drawing are fun. Good at spelling or math? Do you like more than one? Is building for you or gymnastics techniques? It's great. Celebrate being unique. There are times when you might need to take care of you. You might need someone to help get you through. Asking a friend doesn't make you look weak. Speak up. It is glorious being unique. Friends come in bunches or groups of a few, but maybe just one friend is perfect for you. Do you play with your friends once a day, twice a week? It's fun and it's fabulous being unique. When it's time to dig in and learn something new, there's more than one way of seeing it through. You can work slow and steady or fast in a streak. Your brain grows in your way. That's being unique. People are just people. And soon you will find each person is different, the best for them kind. You're a part of a community, and you make it complete. Hurrah for caring. It makes you unique. In all the world over, this much is true. You must care for yourself in all that you do. You're somebody special. You simply cannot be beat. So keep up the good work. Keep up being unique. The children will join me while the band plays the children's benediction.
It was a big step. I took 3 deep breaths, punched in the numbers, and made an appointment with the Emily program. I was tired, so tired of the thoughts and actions that had controlled my life for 15 years. Thoughts that made me think I was not good enough, that controlling some aspect of my life, in this case, food and exercise, would somehow make all the trauma in my past not hurt so much. I made that call initially so I could get treatment in order not to pass on my negative self-talk tendencies and actions, often related to my body, to my then 3-year-old. But as it turns out, it was the most radical act of self-love I could have ever done. Over the 2 years while I was in outpatient treatment, I was challenged, enlightened, cried a lot, laughed a little, learned strategies to deal with uncomfortable situations, and in the end, changed the trajectory of my life. I often find self-love is the hardest kind of love. So often we find it easy to love others, whether children, pets, partners, friends, but turning that love inward is hard. Often society tells us that self-love can be selfish, and sometimes a little frivolous. But I challenge that. How is loving yourself a bad thing? Especially knowing that we truly live in our own mind and body, so why would we not take care of it? And I'm just not talking about self-care like massages and wine and chocolate, although they're great things. but rather a deeper self-care, setting boundaries for yourself and those around you, whether personal or in work relationships, carving out time for activities that give you joy and energy, and getting to a place that you can love all the things about yourself, those things that make you proud, and those things that are a little bit more challenging. For me, deep self-love is hard because I have never truly been taught how to do it. And although I'm on the path to some sort of understanding, I am far from having it figured out. But I do know that part of self-love is also trusting what others tell us about ourselves. How often have we been given a compliment and we cast it aside instead of just saying thank you with no qualifiers? It can be really uncomfortable, but I urge you to try it. When someone gives you a compliment, just say thank you, period. Maybe we can try to do that over the next week or so and just see how it feels. We'll now accept the offering.
I invite you to take a deep breath. Breathe deep, breath of life. Feel below you the earth and its ancient turning, and above you the sky. Beyond that, the stars shining with their ancient light, holding you in this moment, this breath. you yourself made of earth and stars. Know that in this house you are named and you are known as beloved, as sacred, as welcome. I invite you into this time of meditation, this time of prayer, first by sharing silence together. Spirit of life and source of love, God and Gaia of many names and beyond all naming. Some days love seems elusive. How difficult it is to name or understand it. How complicated it can be to know the impact on the heart. How strong it can be to call us toward compassion or action and justice. Help us lean into those places in our life where love is nourishment and comfort and encouragement, not a feel-good selfishness nor a depleting self-sacrifice, but an empowering balance of giving, of receiving, of knowing ourselves and this world as beloved, and moving from that place toward more love and justice yet still. In this sacred hour, we hold our joys and sorrows, known and unknown, spoken and silent. We're holding with the world all those who are grieving, those who are still in precarious situations, those who have died in the massive earthquake in Syria and Turkey. We may have opportunities for support in these coming days, but we hold them in love and concern, and all those places lesser known throughout our world that are always in precarious places, where people's lives and love are at stake. May we do our part to be instruments of love and healing. We're holding Trish Braga this morning, whose dear cousin Russ died yesterday. We hold Russ's memory and family in love. We're holding Austin Ferguson, whose grandma, who he called Mimi, died on Friday. Says the entire family will miss this beloved matriarch and the legacy that she leaves of many children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. We hold Austin and Mimi's memory and family in love. I invite you to bring the names you're holding in your own heart this day in joy or sorrow, celebration or concern, and silently or aloud now in this time to speak their names. For all the joys and sorrows named and unnamed, may we all be held in love. These words of meditation and an affirmation are from Minnesota artist and Grammy Award winner Lizzo. She said, "I felt very misunderstood. I felt on the outside looking in. I wanted to make the world a better place, so I had to be that change. And now I look around and there's all these songs that are about loving our bodies, feeling comfortable in our skin. And I like to believe that not only can people do good, but we just are good, inherently good." She said, "Anybody who feels misunderstood or on the outside looking in like I did, just stay true to yourself, because I promise you, you will attract people to your life who believe in you and who support you." May that be so for all of us. Amen.
The first reading is Self-Care by Jordan Simpson. The body's clotting process is where healing begins. Your blood hardens at the injury site to prevent any more loss. A scab is formed to prevent infection while your skin mends itself. The time it takes for your blood to clot may take seconds, but for your skin to repair is undetermined. When I think of self-care, I think of how innate healing is, how my body decides when there's been enough loss to act, how the maintenance of me is a belief in autonomy. I think of how cliché self-care sounds, how uncomfortable it feels, like bleeding gums after your first floss in a while. I haven't taken care of myself properly because I have a hard time finding the difference between the painful process it takes to overcome my past and my past itself. I've been getting in the way of my own healing by picking the scabs after failed relationships, after depression. I'm a body of scars that wants to believe in healing. I'm learning self-care is an act of giving yourself permission, a covenant between me and my wounds. Yes, I am hurt, but no, not always. Yes, I will be okay, but no, I don't always see the hard truths. And it is hard being strong with bruises. When you can't be any more open than you already are, so you let the time pass and pray your body works its magic. But self-care is not magic. It's a lesson in faith backed by hard science. That I believe in a God that believes in me enough to be surrounded with friends as a reminder. To sleep, to cry, to pray, to drink water, to allow myself to be loved. I am here. Still an infectious laugh amidst the disease, still a joy, still blessed and bleeding atop a mountain of bandages, knowing I'm okay, until I'm not, until I am. The second reading is Winter by Megan Fernandez. One winter, I became very quiet and saw my life. It was February, and outside in the city streets, snow fell but would not collect. I bought snapdragons and thistle and got some discount peach roses that smelled off. I split them between vases and moved the bouquets from room to room while a violin solo rang out. My throat hurt. A detective show played. I have 2 cats in New York, and not so much loneliness. Still, I prepare for their deaths, but who knows, I may go first. Sorry, but I'm like this in winter. My composure, an evergreen with the settled world that just keeps settling. I trek the season. I arrange the dance of blooms, room to room, and keep my small perimeter fed and alive. We tread to march like soldiers, like sailors tossed into navy tides, into wave white, and who, spotting land at last, grow gills at its sight.
If you go there now, you can't find it anymore. This place only lives in my mind and body now, in my memory. The way the grass grew through the sides of the fence around the perimeter, or the way the dust and the dirt gathered in the corners, how the net hung low and lower each year. It was replaced in part by a parking lot, part winter outdoor hockey rink, but back in my day, it was a busted-up, humble, run-down public park tennis court nestled in the magical land that I spent most of my childhood, Spring Lake Park, not the suburb, but the park in North Mankato. It seemed odd to me over the years as I saw depictions in movies or shows about tennis players and places of manicured and smooth courts and little places to have smoothies along the side and little sweaters and fancy apparel over the shoulders, a stark contrast to the tennis I knew and to my high school team, for which most of our years our uniform was plain white undershirts that we bought in 10 packs, and then that was our uniform for the whole high school team. The courts I played on were out of convenience. They felt more like the Sandlot than Wimbledon. They were close. I could walk there. They were free in a public park, and old hand-me-down rackets of my dad's from the garage that had gathered dust, and let's be honest, hand-me-down shorts and shoes and everything else. But to play with my brothers or some friends, it was easy. You only needed one other player, and I had at least 2 willing friends who would come and play with me. I was a fair-weather player, no indoor courts for me till much, much later. And I can still remember shoveling off the courts in early spring, trying to let the sun dry them, and hoping that the balls from last year would still bounce a little bit. And I can remember among the faded painted lines still barely visible, I could remember still the location, depending on which side of the court you were on, where the large cracks in the pavement were and how you had to either avoid them or very smartly use them to ricochet the ball in a precise way. I was never too competitive, even on the team, and I remember the best tennis I ever played was the day after high school when all competition was over, because I was just playing for the love of it. That's actually, I found out, the origin of the scoring in tennis, if you're familiar, right? It starts with love, love, as in love for the game. You start with no points, no stakes. You start with nothing, but just for the love of the game. This monthly theme of love has reminded me of the importance of doing things, attending to our life as much as possible for the love of it. No stakes, no competition, not for recognition or compensation, not for getting ahead or saving things up or productivity. Sometimes the best use of our time is simply for the love of it. And yes, it is a rare and precious thing in a world that usually demands so much more of us. With demands of society, demands of others, demands we place on ourselves, we are quick to believe that productivity, measurable results, something to show for our work, is the only measure of our worth, the only good use of our time. My goodness, we can run ourselves ragged, can't we? Sometimes pushing beyond what the body or the mind or the soul can really hold, where the love of something and its many understandings, whether it's about affection or cherishing or a deep sense of belonging or joy or connection to beauty, that can be clouded out pretty quickly and obscured. Something I think we are often led astray from is an understanding of love in its best intent, of staying connected to beauty, connected to joy, to mutual flourishing and wellness. And it's so often built up as an either-or. You have to balance self-care and being in community. It's one or the other, right? But I don't believe self-care is about isolation, about separation from the world, walling yourself out entirely, though at times sneaking away from the busyness of the world is good. But setting it up as a dichotomy can almost create this crisis baseline way of living. You push and work as hard as possible, as long as you can. You give as much as you can. You do more than you think you can. You're asked to push and push to the point of exhaustion. And then self-care kicks in. Out of necessity. Out of crisis. Out of a breaking point. That's not self-care. That's survival. What love and living for love is at its best tries to remind us is that self-care, if it's to work well, is cyclical. It's infused and integrated into our lives, not a reward at the end of being a good little productive member of society, but it is in its best sense being with oneself, caring for oneself and community at the same time. Because if we are caring for ourselves, we better care for others. When we know our limits, we don't give to the point of depletion. When we need to retreat, we know that it's part of a regular system of care. Where the soul is so spent sometimes that it takes significant time to heal, that's survival. My body decides when there's been enough loss to act, writes the poet. How uncomfortable self-care sounds. I've been getting in the way of my own healing, they write, but I'm learning self-care is a covenant between me and my wounds. Yes, I'm hurt, but no, not always. Yes, I will be okay, but no, I don't always see the hard truths. I am here. Still a laugh amidst the disease, they write, blessed atop the bandages, knowing I'm okay until I'm not, until I am. I've been holding some images in my mind these days. Before I show this first one, I want to share the quote that came with it. It said, "When I say I'm functioning, this is what I mean." And this is the image. Maybe some of you have seen that. When I say I'm functioning, this is what I mean. Functioning, yes. Well, no. That's what it can feel like sometimes. functioning, sure, but fractured quite. Barely held together past the breaking point and still trying to be productive. This is survival-based care, not self-care. Almost always, it seems we need reminders to not push ourselves or let ourselves be pushed or fractured beyond our own well-being. Because, in fact, we are not helpful to the world and those around us, we cannot offer our gifts the best we can if we don't find that balance of soul and mind and heart. Or the simple things. I love that the poet lifts up these simple things: drinking water, sleeping, crying, praying, meditating, breathing deep the breath of life. So take a breath. We say that here each Sunday not as instruction but as reminder of something we need to say to ourselves several times a day. This is just your 1 hour where we say to do it. You should do it every hour, every day. Breathe deep the breath of life. Some reminders that have come to me are a few more images I'd like to share today. Like this one, it says, "We don't have Wi-Fi. Talk to each other like it's 1995. I love that. We had a sign similar to that in my last church in the youth room that said, "No texting, no searching, or phoning while churching." And at times we purposely turned off the Wi-Fi in that sanctuary to help folks be more present to the moment. We have so many distractions and demands for our attention. Not all of them are bad. There are good things that come from technology, good things that come from connectivity. There's different modes of learning and awareness and mind ways of being. And one of the reasons I'm hesitant, though, to use this screen up here all the time is that I think we also spend far too much time face to screen instead of face to face or soul to soul. And I had a little reminder of this not long ago. Before I show this next image, I'll set the scene again. It was at a New Year's Eve celebration. I, like any good millennial, was on my phone. And I had a little voice that said, "Papa, get off your phone and enjoy the party." And so I asked her if it was okay to show this picture, and she said yes. This was her face to me. And of course, as she's saying that, I took a picture, which seems very ridiculous. But that's what I did, and I asked if I could use it. And I'll say it helped me remember the intent of that face. And I have to say, in that moment, the face kind of reminded me of this other image from past years. Felt just a little judged, but rightfully so. Sometimes the little souls around us, loved ones, remind us so much of who we want to be, and that we're always a work in progress. The reason I started playing tennis again recently was pretty much that face, but also after about 20 years of not playing was the realization that sometimes, at least for me, I needed some physical obstacle from being able to exit whatever moment I was in and check my email on my phone, which follows me everywhere, just like all of you. Sometimes self-care is that simple because I physically can't check my email when I have a racket in my hand and a ball flying through the air at me, right? It's a tangible commitment to be present to what you're doing or you'll get hit in the face. Sometimes that happens anyway, but you do it for the love of it. Sometimes self-care, which in our tradition echoes ancient scriptures, is connected with three things: love God and neighbor and self. All of those are in one. Self-care sometimes is intentionally setting time aside, whether it's for tennis, for me now, or it's for meditation or prayer, music or reading or yoga or some sport, or it might be infused into daily routines of being mindful of this sip of coffee or this taste of food, or give a quick praise be for this ray of sunshine or this melody or song. There are many modes, and at its best, you can be nourished by many in the course of a day, a week, a month. And the magic of spiritual practice is that when you take time for your soul, the inner core of who we are, we can get injured there just as much as on the surface of the skin, but we can hide the soul wounds, right? The magic arithmetic of love and care is that we might just be less depleted, less exhausted by taking some time to better attend to the responsibilities in our life if we love what's inside us. Take a little time there, and you're better able to attend to the world beyond you. Sometimes through systems of productivity or the monetization of everything, sometimes you have to take more time to do less things. Or as one poet says, take more time and cover less ground. Carrie Newcomer sang that song. Or like the poet writes today, I arrange this dance of blooms from room to room, and I keep my small perimeter fed and alive. To keep our small perimeter fed and alive with whatever blooms we have, that's what we're called to do. Not to do it all, but do the best we can, how we can, well. Self-care is community care. When we care for ourselves, we care for each other, and it ripples out farther than we know. Our small perimeter becomes a place where love lives, and we know that then love overflows and impacts the world around us, sometimes very directly, and we see that impact or the lack of it. The last image I want to share is about that. It's about how self and community care is deeply interconnected. I'll read this for you. It says, democracy must be something more than two wolves and a sheep voting on what to have for dinner. Democracy must be something more than two wolves and a sheep voting on what to have for dinner. One of you recently said to me, it takes a village. And then you said, and I'm not the village. Meaning I can't be the whole village. When I say it takes a village, it means, yes, I do something, but I don't do all of it. Democracy, community, communal well-being, which is part of self-well-being, must be more than some simplistic equation for who gets to live well and who suffers. It's not enough to live by some bottom line or quarterly reports by the amount of production. The simplistic equation of power leaves those with less power in peril, always. Sometimes for everybody to flourish, including ourselves, love demands that we pay attention to each other in ways that might not seem to add up or fulfill the obligations that we think we ought to fulfill, but to make our life centered on collective well-being, which is good for all of us. The practices we take time for don't need to be perfect. They might be run down or filled with cracks or less than ideal, but they are worth the time. For the love of God, for the love of Pete, for the love of whomever, for the love of you, that type of time and care is worth it. And you are worth it. The closing hymn is Love Will Guide Us. I invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing. invite you, as you're comfortable, to place a hand on your heart or toward the sky or earth in gratitude. Go yonder, and gather the people. Give them not hell, but courage and hope. Give them something of the love you have found here, and tell all the people that love is our home. Amen.
I'm sorry, can we play something a little more upbeat?
We're no strangers to love. You know the rules, and so do I. Our commitment's what I'm thinking of. You wouldn't get this from any other girl. I just wanna tell you how I'm feeling. Gotta make you understand. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around, desert you. Never gonna say goodbye. Never gonna make you cry. Never gonna tell a lie and hurt you. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and hurt you. Never gonna make you cry. Never gonna say goodbye. Never gonna tell a lie and hurt you. We've known each other for so long. Your heart's been aching, so is mine. Inside we both know what's been going on. We know the game that we're gonna play. And if you ask me how I'm feeling, don't tell me you're too blind to see. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and hurt you. Never gonna say goodbye. Never gonna make you cry. Never gonna tell a lie and hurt you. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and hurt you. Never gonna make you cry. Never gonna